WWE World Heavyweight Champion John Cena gets his ass handed to him by Brock Lesnar. Basically a squash match, which is a little bit of a surprise because you got to figure John Cena would put up a little bit more of a fight than he did in this, but man, they made Brock Lesnar out to look like a badass here, and it was entertaining as hell. I loved it. Brock Lesnar should look like a fucking beast, and that is how you do a squash match. You don't do just Rusev fights a bunch of no names. If you want somebody to look impressive, you have him be impressive against people that are important, and then it fucking matters. Brock Lesnar comes out of this the new champion for essentially a new era now that they're switching over the logo and everything like that. And he looks like the most credible champion that they've had in a decade, which is amazing. So, very cool match, very fun to watch. I don't know if I would say match of the year because it was a squash match, but it was still very entertaining. I loved this, and I'm really curious where they go from here. Hopefully, they don't fuck it up. Peyton?
My biggest problem with this, too many Germans. Oh, I don't mean the suplexes. Those were awesome. I'm talking about the German announce team that was at ringside. Why was there 4 of them?
Were they all German? Or was it like different countries? I couldn't tell. The one guy that was sitting closest to the camera was totally eyeing the camera up.
Yeah, he was.
He was just kind of like hamming it like, there's the camera.
And it's amazing that everyone from Germany likes Diet Mountain Dew as well. I thought that would just be an American thing.
I don't even think... Do they have Mountain Dew in Germany?
I don't know. Anyway, I just wanted to make a note. I made sure that got in this pay-per-view somewhere, because when they were doing the panning, all right, here's the America team. And it's like, oh, they got the Spanish team out there this week. Okay, awesome. German announced team. What? Whoa, why is there like so many of them? They're like gonna freaking overflow that table.
There's East Berlin. There's...
You know what? Looking at that, I almost got a sense that they got that really big table just as some type of like spot for the matchup. Like Cena was gonna put Brock through a table, and you need a table that big for Brock Lesnar.
Oh, it was the same size table.
Oh, okay.
It was just 4 guys crowded around it.
Oh, wow.
But I wonder what they were like portraying the Swagger Rusev match like. Like, how do you portray an America versus Russian feuded match to Germans? How do you make them give a shit? Just questions throughout.
I don't know.
Anyway, let's get back to Brock Lesnar, John Cena. This match kicked freaking ass. My favorite part was when Brock Lesnar did the suplex.
Which one?
The suplex.
The 9th one?
Nah, the 8th one was better. It's exactly what it needed to be. It was fucking so kick-ass to see. And you say this isn't a match of the year contender. I would say it was. I mean, this wasn't a fucking Matt classic, but the story that was told here was excellent. John Cena, from 20 seconds in the match when he hit that first F5. At first, I thought that was going to be it. I thought they were just going to shock us, just have Brock come in, dominate, beat John Cena in under a minute, and that was it. John Cena kicked out, and boy, does he have to regret that. He just got his ass whooped for freaking almost 20 minutes. And, people who always hate on John Cena, just let this show how much John Cena is willing to give up on behalf of this company. Not just as a company man to put his own face out there, but to make someone else look good. We've seen him do this with Edge. We've seen him do this with CM Punk. We've seen him do this with even like Alberto Del Rio. He's willing to go out there and make himself look beat up in the right situations. And for that matter, this is how much I think John Cena has respect for The Undertaker as well, because you got to consider this is what Brock Lesnar's coming off of. His repertoire, his aura is off the fact that he just conquered the streak at WrestleMania. So for him to go into this title match, for any other result to have happened, even John Cena actually getting a decent amount of offense in, would have been stupid. Brock Lesnar had to go in there and just absolutely dominate, and that's what he did. And just like you said, this is a new era, and I hope this era lasts for a while. I want to see Brock carry that title to WrestleMania. I want it to go all the way there. And if it's to Roman Reigns he loses, that's fine. I really wouldn't care who loses it to. It could be Roman Reigns. It could be Cesaro. It could be Daniel Bryan. Well, not Kofi Kingston. But there's a number of people you could slot into there that I think would have a compelling match with him at WrestleMania. And along the way, he just has to make sure he's there. He doesn't even have to be there every week. Have him be there 1, maybe 2 weeks out of every month, and at pay-per-views. That's all he needs to do. I know he doesn't like traveling, but that's only a couple dates you got to travel. You're not going all over the country, driving around in some crammed, compact rental car. I think they can make that work, and I would like to see it.
Miguel?
I think it's very important to point out just how important this matchup is from a character's perspective on John Cena, because for the longest time WWE has had a difficulty with making John Cena out to be sympathetic in terms of like being the underdog. You know, they always talk about him overcoming the odds, but how long when was the last time anybody honestly ever believed that? I mean, this guy's been positioned as the top guy for years. No matter who they put him against, no matter how much they try to stack the deck against him, you never ever got the sense that he ever was at a disadvantage, except for tonight. That matchup that he was in there, that was probably the first time I can remember that John Cena actually looked like he was the underdog, that he was actually overpowered by somebody, and I know a lot of people were saying that, oh, this matchup was boring, it was just the same move over and over. This was classic storytelling at its finest. This was a real fighter going up in a real fight against a fake wrestler. There was that great scene where John Cena lands his attitude adjustment, and he it looks like Brock Lesnar is actually down, and then he just gets up Undertaker style and starts laughing. Like, that's the reaction you expect. You don't expect a guy like that to be put out with one AA, with just a fireman's carry. He trolled he trolled the fans, and this matchup was it was real, it was brutal, it was everything this matchup needed to be. And honestly, the only problem I have with this is that it sucks that we're not going to see Brock on TV as much, because this is probably the first time in a long time that I've seen a feud with a guy against John Cena that I want to see where this goes. I'm not just waiting for this to end. I want to see where else they can go with this. This was something special, and I really don't think it's really dawned on that many people right now. I think it's got to settle in, but this was something that I think is match of the year, in my opinion, just because of how different it is, in a good way.
Sean, your thoughts?
It took 11 Germans to win the FIFA World Cup. It took 16 Germans to win the WWE Championship. My God, those 16 Germans were beautiful.
I think we need to officially change John Cena's name to Brazil.
and Doomsday did kill Superman in the comic books, but then Superman rose up from the grave to claim
but that was a marketing cop out. Just want to say that as a comic book fan.
I have a question. When the German announce team was calling this match and Brock Lesnar was doing all those German suplexes, did they just call them suplexes?
They called them R suplexes.
Yeah. Is it like French toast in France? Do they just call it toast?
They're like,
suplex, suplex.
That'd be great. But they were shouting it and screaming it at the top of their lungs very angrily, because that's what you do.
But this is how you do a squash match. Like, I can't remember the last time I actually enjoyed a squash match, and this was just fucking insane. Fair play. All Brock Lesnar needed was 2 moves to beat John Cena. That's 3 less than his 5 moves of doom.
I think the only thing that would have really put this over the top is if they had gotten Nikki Bella involved. Then they would have brought it to that level of uncomfortable that probably would have made it go full circle. Because I think back to like Brock Lesnar-esque beatdowns, and the one that always pops into my head was the Zach Gowen beatdown. The one where he like throws him down a flight of stairs when he was in a wheelchair. That was brutal and uncomfortable.
I'm not gonna lie as well, when John Cena put in the STF, I was like, oh, here we go again. But no, Brock Lesnar dismantled John Cena. I am kind of upset that I didn't get to see my perfect finish of The Undertaker coming out. I'm sorry that I got all your hopes up. But
I was so upset, Sean.
But this Brock Lesnar run is going to be a lot better than what I thought was going to happen. So yeah, happy days.
Hey, a question about that Did John? I heard John Cena actually really locked this one in. Like, it looked like a real STF, which, as opposed to the other ones where John Cena basically just looks like he's giving you a hug.
Yeah, it looked pretty good.
Yeah, that's the one thing that annoys me about Cena is he gives the worst STF.
He had the best poop face ever, though, when he had the STF locked in.
It wasn't as good as Rusev's poop face at the end of the Rusev Swagger match. He looked like he was crying. And he's also in a sitting poop position, so it's even better. I'm pooping on your back, Jack Swagger.
So do we need to tie this back into what you did the last segment, Sean?
Man, that shit was hard.
All right, guys.
I'm positive my asshole is no longer a virgin.
Before we take this into very dark territory, we are going to end this review of SummerSlam. Make sure to go back and for those other matches as well as this one, tell us what you thought of each and every one of them. Was it a good match? Was it a bad match? What do you think is going to happen in the future? How is WWE going to capitalize or make up for the different things that happen? We have one more thing that we're going to do on this episode. Fantasy League coming up in the next part. We'll see you there.